from the All Indiana Podcast Network.
It's time for real conversation about the real issues that affect our communities.
Poverty, education, equality, and more.
This is Real Talk.
Real Talk with Reverend Charles Harrison.
Welcome to Real Talk on the All Indiana Podcast Network, and I am Reverend Charles Harrison. And on this episode, I will be talking with new Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department Chief Chris Bailey today, and we will talk about a variety of issues, what it means to be the new chief, and what are some of the challenges that he faces as the new chief, and particularly about the issue of violent crime in Indianapolis. Welcome to Real Talk on the All Indiana Podcast Network, and I'm Reverend Charles Harrison, and I am so honored today to have a special guest with me. I've been knowing him for a while now. I do consider him a friend. He is the new police chief of the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department, Chris Bailey. Well, welcome, Chief.
Happy to be here, Pastor. Thank you.
Well, listen, we go back a ways, and I think, I'm trying to think when I first met you. I know we did a lot of work together in Butler, Tarkington, and I'm not for sure if I met you before Butler, Tarkington, or that was the time that we really got to know each other.
I think that's it, and I'm sure we ran across each other. I spent most of my career south of Washington Street.
Okay.
And then I was in narcotics up until 2011-ish. So I did, when I got promoted to sergeant, come to North District. So I probably ran into you sometime during that 2005, 2006 time frame, right before we merged. But I think we became close and both as friends and working together back in Butler, Tarkington, when I was North District Commander.
Yes, I used to worry him a lot. He would get phone calls from me all the time when we were working together in Butler, Tarkington, when he was the district commander there. And I would often call him about things I thought was important for him to know and what was going on.
Yeah, and we worked together with the community over there during a very bad time.
Right.
And, we haven't seen those times since. And the reason why that worked is because we worked together.
Right.
Is it your fault that my hair's falling out and it's gray?
Yeah. No, I won't take that.
No, it's not. Can't put that on you?
Put that on me.
It's
no,
probably my kids.
Yeah.
Kids.
Well, you talked a little bit about your journey. How long have you been, with the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department? When did you start? And kind of a little about your journey before we get into other questions.
Yeah, 1999.
Okay.
February 1st of 1999 is when I was sworn in under IPD, Indianapolis Police Department. So that's when I started my journey. And from there, I was a patrol officer on the South District and the Downtown District, and was a district detective. And then in 2005, I was promoted to sergeant, assigned to IMPD's North District at the time as a middle shift supervisor. Ran around with some really good, energetic officers, including David Moore.
Okay, yes,
who we lost in the line of duty.
Yes,
the first officer under IMPD to be lost in the line of duty. So I had that really invigorated me from doing detective work, and sometimes we get about 5 years, cops start to burn out a little bit, and you need to change your pace. And being a supervisor among all those energetic middle shift young officers really re-energized me. And then we merged with the sheriff's office in 2007, and I went to Northwest District, brand new created district,
right,
Northwest District, and spent about 10 months there on late shift as a supervisor. And then I've been all over the place.
You've been all over the place.
But ultimately, I think that's what helped me get to where I'm at today, having a well-rounded, multi-dimensional view of the agency. I've been a district detective. I've been a detective sergeant. I've worked in the FBI Safe Streets Task Force, where I had a top secret clearance, and working with the FBI on long-term drug trafficking organization cases with the FBI. I've been the public information officer I worked as the district commander on North District, of course, which was my favorite assignment.
It was your favorite assignment?
At the time, everybody wants to excel in their career and move up the ladder. And then as you get up there, you're like, man, I really had it made on North District. Why the heck did? And why was it my favorite? Because every day I had interactions with the community. And so many others. And every day I had interaction with the cops. Every single day. And when sometimes you get trapped in that city county building. You're only dealing with people at your level or politicians. You're taking angry phone calls, or putting this fire out and that chaos out. So, I appreciate my opportunities, but North District was my ultimate favorite position on the agency as the commander. Been the deputy chief of the Criminal Investigations Division. Did serve a short time as a commander in Homeland Security after I left North District. Where we plan all the major events and all the special units, SWAT, K9, bomb squad, motorcycles, all the cool things that you think about when the police I had under my command. And then we lost Jim Waters in that terrible car crash. And then Brian Roach asked me to take his spot as a deputy chief of investigations, and did a lot of good work with a lot of good people in investigations. We improved our clearance rate. We refocused our efforts on making sure our homicide detectives communicate with victims and their families. It's one of our biggest complaints, and still today. And I get it. They lost something very important to them. And we can't forget that in those investigations. And the assistant chief for 4 years, and given the opportunity, arm twisted a little bit to take this job. No, it's an honor. Some of us probably did arm twist you a little bit to take the job. Well, let me ask you a question. In your tenure since 1999, has policing changed?
Oh, yeah. Okay. In what ways?
Well, I can tell you that we were less focused in the early parts of my career. And it was more randomized enforcement, randomized arrest, an emphasis, I think, on outputs instead of outcomes. And what I mean by that is, a lot of our overtime details or project that we focused on were stat based. How many arrests did you make? All those things. And so you end up going out there and you're focused on the wrong people. And you sometimes treat neighborhoods like militarized zones where you stop everything, even for minor things, and you maybe take enforcement action that really wasn't necessary. That could have, whether it's arresting somebody for driving while suspended or, writing them ticket, towing their cars, not understanding the impacts that has on people that come from areas that are impoverished. That may be their only mode of transportation to get from their home to their work. And they have a suspended license, but it takes a lot of effort and a lot of money to get your license back. And I don't think that officers, and especially me as a young cop, thought about those things. And so where I've seen this move now is more focused approach, especially over the last 4.5 years now. When Chief Taylor came in as the chief, we talked and we said, we have limited resources and we have to be focused with our time. And so we're focused on trigger pullers. We focused on violent gang members. We focused on violent drug dealers, those kind of things. And so that's where we find ourselves today is more focused. Lots more guns. It was a rarity for me to encounter a gun on a traffic stop when I was a patrol officer in the early 2000s. Even when I was a narcotics supervisor and we were, serving search warrants on these drug houses, we didn't find guns like we do now. And just look what in the last 2 weeks, those 2 different search warrants, almost 50 guns in those 2 particular incidents. So one of the biggest things that I think has changed over the last 10 years or even over the course of my career is the easy access to weapons and how prolific they are in our community, especially in the hands of our young people.
So what can be done about that, if anything, with the proliferation of guns? Because I would agree with you. When I started doing 10-point in 1998, if we encountered a group of young people, maybe one of them had a gun in a group of 6, 7 kids. Now today, just about all of them have guns.
Every single one of them. Well, I mean, even if today we said, hey, United States, we're not going to make any more guns. We're not going to sell any more guns. There's 550 plus million guns in the country.
Okay.
I mean, it's just what we're trying to do now is understand how these guns are getting in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. That's straw purchasing. That's they're being stolen from cars. They're being stolen from houses. And then when they get out in the neighborhoods, they're being passed around. Okay. That's why sometimes we see guns with 24 different incidents attached to one gun.
Wow.
And so that's when I say focus, then that's when we say, okay, we've got to get that gun out of this cycle. Okay. It's been used multiple times, multiple different incidents around the city. So it's being passed around. It's not necessarily being used by the same people. So then that's why we have to be focused and go after that. 4 years ago, we had 2 Intel analysts on our police department. We're soon going to have 25.
Wow.
Professional staff, non-sworn, civilian, smart people who are helping us look at our data and focus our limited resources as we continue to lose officers. We're about 1,477 right now. We have money for 1,743.
Wow. Well, that's another question I want to ask you later in the interview. Let's talk a little bit about you as the chief. You talked about all those other positions you had, and when you loved that North District, being the district commander. So now you're the chief. Talk a little bit about what does the chief do? What's the responsibilities of the chief? Mm-hmm. You probably have a lot more headaches now.
It's I feel a lot more pressure.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot more on my shoulders, but I have a good team.
Okay.
And I'm really expecting them to do a lot of this operational work. I've given them my broad priorities, my 40,000 foot priorities. It's their responsibility to get into the weeds and make my priorities our priorities, because they are reducing violent crime, retaining and recruiting the best police officers that we can, focus on officer wellness and community wellness when it comes to mental health. Technology, how do we leverage technology to make us more effective and efficient? And then, looking at our operations to see how we can utilize our strengths to make us better for the community. So I've got a good team. They're on it. They know what they're doing, and they're moving things forward. We've already made a lot of progress in a short period of time on the things that we're focused in on. You're going to hear me talk about officer wellness a lot. You're going to hear me talk about facilities. Those kind of things help us attract and retain people on our police departments. Not always money. And when you have a healthy, happy, well police officer, they treat our community better. They come into work motivated to go out and support our objectives, which is to keep people safe and stop and reduce violent crime. So all those things are important as we move forward. So day to day as a chief, I come in, they feed me breakfast. I maybe get a massage and a foot rub. No, none of that's true. A lot of meetings, and the reason why I have such a good staff is because I want to do this. I want to talk to the community directly. I went on a foot patrol yesterday. I had a meeting downtown, so I said, let's leave 20 minutes early and go talk to people in the circle. I want to be out in the community to hear and understand how people feel about our police department, but also to help build relationships and bridges that I know, if they're good, help us solve and stop crime and keeps everybody safe, our cops and our community.
One of the things you talked about is keeping your officers well, health-wise, mentally. I've always wondered, what is the impact of officers who are responding to violent crimes on a regular basis and what they see? And I say that the first time I went on a run as a state police chaplain, we went to a scene where shots was fired, went to a Hardee's up there on Allisonville Road. Husband and wife domestic. Husband killed the wife, then shot himself. And I'm there as the chaplain, but just the scene of it stayed with me for several weeks. And that night, I think it was the first time I'd ever seen that. It was tough for me going to sleep for a couple of days because of that image, and then I had to tell the children, what had happened to their parents. So, and I wonder sometimes, how does officers deal with that on a regular basis and stay healthy?
Yeah, some of them deal with it better than others. Right? this generation of cops that we're hiring now seem to have more. It seems to impact them more than maybe my generation or before my generation, but maybe that's not true either. Maybe it's the fact that we're talking about it,
right? And
we've removed that stigma, and we're saying it's okay to not be okay.
Okay.
But then, how do you deal with it? We don't want you turning to the bottle.
Right.
We don't want you turning turning it all inward. And we have a robust wellness program. It's a national model. It's been in place since 2010. We keep building on it. What I heard yesterday from one of our officers, peer specialist that's in there, is that they have more people, more officers now voluntary going to them than they ever have. And so that's a good and bad thing, I guess. That's why we have to continue to invest in it and see what new ways are available. Chief Adams, Deputy Chief of Criminal Investigations Division, just recently mandated, and I supported it 100%, mandated wellness checks for certain units within the investigations unit.
Okay.
Those that deal with child deaths and sexual assaults, and our detectives that work in internet crimes against children, which are just horrific investigations that keep getting worse and keeps getting more of them. Now, the officers aren't mandated to go in and say anything, but they are mandated to go.
Okay.
And I know that it's an opportunity for them to get things off their chest, tell people what they need, and then we'll send them outside to get resources. We have facilities that we send people to in Utah and Florida and on the East Coast for a multitude of reasons, or multitude of issues that someone may have, and then locally with marriage counseling and all those, because our families bear the brunt of this profession many times. Long hours, shift hours, and the trauma that these officers see repeatedly. You said that was one time, right? The one time you experienced it, it impacted you for a period of time.
Right.
Now think about that multiple times a day or multiple times a week. And so that's what I'm saying. We have to continue to invest, and there are new ways and exciting ways. They're going to cost money, but in the long term, it's going to save money, because we're going to save a life, whether it's the officer or, or we'll save somebody in the community from an officer making a bad decision.
You talked a little bit about the issue of mental health, and I know that is a big issue in the community. We see it out on the streets as 10-point, but y'all sometimes have to respond to it when the person who may be having a mental health episode may have a knife or a gun. How much has that changed in policing today? And I know sometimes it leads to controversy. How do you deal with this whole issue of mental health in policing?
That's a tough one. The symptoms of a much larger societal problem, governmental problem, medical establishment problem, have been thrown on the backs of our cops.
Okay.
Late 70s, early 80s, when all the hospitals shut down. There was not, in my opinion, a plan to provide community-based care where there's continuous support to deal with these issues. And so now we're dealing with the symptoms of those things. How long ago was that? We haven't caught up to the need. Obviously, the COVID and the decisions that were made during that time, thoughtful and probably the right decision at the time. Now we're seeing maybe they weren't. Have I think made it worse. Substance abuse issues contribute to that. Fentanyl and the substances now that exist that did not exist 20 years ago. Synthetic drugs that really change people and alter people's mind have had an impact on that. So we have to figure out what that looks like and address it, because if not, then the police, who are really the only ones that work 24 hours, 7 days a week, are called to these disturbances. We're going to have these negative encounters. But I'll say, for the few negative encounters that we've had that get talked about a lot, 7,500 times over a 2-year period, our officers took somebody into custody and took them to the hospital. In order to take somebody into custody for us, for a mental health issue, they have to be a danger to themselves or others. They have to have a diagnosed mental condition, which means, and they have to be in crisis, which means they're at their worst. And we've 7,500 times over a 2-year period, we've successfully took them to the hospital.
Wow. Well, that doesn't get talked about.
We don't talk about that.
That doesn't
we
get
talk about
about
the one time where it goes bad.
Right.
And, we'll adjust to those things. And we're training about de-escalation and time, distance barriers, resources, communication, to avoid those situations. But as much as we can train and try to avoid them, don't want them to happen, sometimes just bad things are going to happen. And when it comes to mental health, really, we have failed our community. I say we as a country have failed to deal with those issues, and families sometimes have failed. One, they don't recognize that that's a mental health issue, don't know where to go, or can't afford to get there, and we have to fix that.
Yeah, I know, as a pastor, I have members that have family members and sometimes members that are dealing with it. And I think it's frustration from families because they think a person should be hospitalized. Yeah. And it's hard to get them hospitalized over a long period of time to deal with the illness. And then when they release them back out, they expect them to take the medicine when they're supposed to take the medicine, and they don't take the medicine because a lot of times they feel like they don't need it, but they do need it. Yeah. So,
well, their normal feeling is my understanding. I'm not a mental health professional.
Right.
Their normal feeling is when they're not on the drugs,
right.
And when
That's
they
true.
take the medication, they don't feel normal.
Right. That's true. That is so true. So over the last 10 years, we've seen an increase in violent crimes here in the city. What is the perspective of the police on why? What are the factors? And I know we're having problems nationally too with this issue, and it tends to impact certain communities more than others.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, there's in some communities there's a lack of hope that exists, especially in some of our young people. They're growing up in situations without any structure, male authority figure, a father. They're being raised by parents who don't have those skill sets. They're too young.
Right.
They've abdicated their responsibilities, and they live in environments that I can't understand.
Okay.
And I don't want to put myself in their situations. And they see things at a very early age now that impact them throughout their life that they don't know how to deal with. Back to mental health, trauma. Right. And then eventually it manifests itself in bad behavior. But what I've seen a lot this year is, and when you talk about violent crime and your non-fatal shootings and homicides, those have accelerated. But some of our other violent crime issues have continued to go down over the last 5, 6, 7 years, including robberies. Okay. And that's because we've gotten that focused approach. But what I've seen a lot this year is a lot of conflictual issues that turn into homicides, things that would not have in the past resulted in that. The arrest we made yesterday. I mean, I'll let everyone read the facts for themselves, but it seems like this minor issue of a disturbance between neighbors and a hallway light or whatever it was led to an argument, and then led to one of the individuals putting on a gun and shooting somebody and then go on a run. Going on the run, but we see that over and over again. Those are hard to impact from law enforcement, from community groups, like the days of the 90s and 2000s where you could go interact on your walks with a group of dealers hanging out on the corner. Don't always see that anymore.
See that. No.
Drug dealing's become mobile, so it happens anywhere. Anywhere there's a place to park. I don't care where you live. You could live in Carmel. It could be, if there's a gas station in Carmel, someone's dealing drugs in that park. At some point during the day.
That's right.
And so it becomes harder to deal with it because you just don't know when they're going to happen. These heat of the moment arguments turn to gunfire, goes to mental health. It goes to easy access to guns and people just not knowing how to deal with their Heck, you talked about having 2 drivers soon, young drivers. I have a young driver now. Just got a permit yesterday. Okay. Just yesterday. just and I've been talking to Tier. Don't honk your horn at anybody. Don't flip the bird. Don't throw your hands up. Don't tailgate. Just let people, if they're going to drive like maniacs, let them drive it, because you never know what they're going to pull out a gun and shoot. I have
to remind, I shouldn't say this on this podcast, but I have to remind my wife of that sometimes when she gets impatient.
I think we're in the same boat. She drives angry all the time. My daughter tells me.
That's true. And that's, I think some of it is a larger societal issue because I've seen over the years what we call the interpersonal conflicts, and they can go from 0 to 100 in seconds, and then it leads to violence. Is that is that kind of leading what you're seeing today, or is it still drugs? And you said robberies have gone down, because it used to be drugs and robberies and those things that used to, lead in non-fatal shootings and homicides, but certainly interpersonal conflicts. And because we, as an organization, we're now talking, we're good at dealing with drug dealers and cliques and gangs. The other stuff, how do we stop it when it just happens, in an instant, and people pull out knives or guns, and there you are? Yeah,
I mean, I see a lot of. We still see the drug robberies.
Right.
We still see drug deals gone bad.
Okay.
That's still one of the leading causes of it. But probably above it is the conflictual argument type things, and some of it is combined too. It's not just one or the other. People, I am dealing drugs. We get in an argument over a drug transaction, and then then one pulls out a gun or shoots the other. The other thing is we see a lot more self-defense cases. Last year, that was the most I've ever seen. Yeah, in self-defense, self-defense justified non-criminal homicides, and that we've continued that trend a little bit this year, maybe up over where we were at last year with justified homicides as well, and those are start usually as arguments, or we've had people that are defending their homes, hard to impact from the work you do and other community members and police do, unless you have some crystal ball that says, hey, at 1500 North Ritter, someone's going to try to break into this house. We would all go probably to dispatch ourselves there and stop it from happening. But those are hard to do.
What can community groups, neighborhoods, churches, faith-based groups, what can we do to assist IMPD and in this? And I know we're having some conversations now around that, but what do you think the community can do and to help out in this?
Well, with the magic wand, I'd like to wave it back to what we talked about. Like when my parents kicked me out of the house at 8 a.m. In the summer and said, come back when the street lights come on. It wasn't just advocating responsibility. They said, because the new Miss Smith down the street was going to watch me, and they were going to call mom and dad and tell me what's going on. But I think we have to do some more of that. We are a brother's keeper, or sister's keeper. It does take a village. And talk to our kids and our older people about how to deal with conflicts, and breathe some hope in some of these neighborhoods and some of these places that just haven't had hope, that have been ignored and forgotten. Those are the impacts that are going to take a while to see. But if we don't start now, we're never going to see an end to it. Partner with us. We don't have all the answers. Law enforcement can't do this. It's in our title, law enforcement. Our tool is arrest for the most part, but everyone looks to us constantly for solutions, and our solutions have been proven over and over again that to not to be the silver bullet that's going to solve it. Because if arresting was the answer, then we would have solved this problem a long time ago. I think arresting, by the time we get to that point, we've missed opportunities along the line. And so if we can avoid that by working together on the prevention side and intervention side, investing more in that and going further upstream with our youth, because our kids are being impacted by violent crime much earlier in their life than ever before. They know a cousin, they know an uncle, they know an aunt, they know a mom and a dad, brother, sister, cousin that have been impacted by it. So getting into our elementary schools. I know we like to focus on the teens, but in order to get to be a teenager, you had to be in elementary school. So what more can we do to partner with our schools and our community groups to impact those kids? Well,
that was a question I wanted to ask you. What is the relationship between the schools and IMPD? Because sometimes stuff can happen in the school and spill out into the neighborhoods and the streets and lead to a violent crime. So I don't know if there's partnerships there or information that is provided or intel that could help out with some of the incidences that occur, because that's something that sometimes 10 Point will hear. And then we're trying to intervene based on a little information that we have is not enough, to really know what's going on. But that's something that we try to do when we're talking to young people on the streets.
Yeah, we could probably do a better job of that. And I know some of IPS in particular, they don't have enough. And I'll speak on behalf of their. I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I'll say I don't think they have enough officers. There's been this thought that we don't need cops in schools.
Right.
And, I disagree with that. I don't want cops in schools to take administrative action against children. Right. But there are things that they could see in the schools, intervene, be a mentor, be a figure people could look up to. But also, we need that information. We saw, bad things happen. We saw it at the school on the east side where two kids get in a fight. As one kid's leaving, he was allowed to call his buddy, and his buddy came and killed the kid in the parking lot of the school. Right. Yeah, we could probably do better of communicating that, because a lot of these beefs, especially with our kids, start in the schools and spill out. But a majority of them with our youth occurred on social media.
So we had another incident downtown where 6 or 7 juveniles were shot, which led to a decision that had to be made about a curfew. Yeah. I want to remind people it is not a new problem. When I first started with 10 Point in 99, we were downtown trying to usher 200 or 300 kids from the mall to the bus stop at that time, which was right next to the State House. And we're trying to get them on the buses to different parts of the city without them having a fight. So, and then with Expo, we had 9 people shot, one night at Expo, and then 6 people another time. The curfew, you decided to implement that. And the problem downtown, and I know it's just not downtown, and most of the kids down there are down there having a good time. They're no problem, but it's 2 or 3 that come down there and they create drama. Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to protect the ones that are down there trying to do the right thing. Right. Because of the 7 that were shot, I don't think any of them were involved in what precipitated it, at least to my knowledge. Okay. Never to the point where anybody deserves to be shot. Right. And so, but had they not been there, at least the ones that didn't have it, legal through the state statute, which spells it out. Right. This is the state law. Then maybe they wouldn't have been shot. So that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to criminalize children. We're not trying to criminalize our youth. We're not trying to take anybody to the juvenile center. In fact, I think I've been clear that we're going to avoid doing that if we can get a parent or guardian to come pick them up. Okay. Or talk to them on the phone and say, how'd they get down here? Oh, they took an Uber? Are you good with them taking an Uber back home? Right. And then making sure they get into that car and move along. We've taken 0 kids into custody. Okay. So I do want to tell the parents and the kids, thank you for following the rules. It was 4.5 hours after the mall closed, right? So there's not a lot for the kids to do down there that late at night. Right. But anybody's welcome at downtown and any of our neighborhoods at any time, as long as you come with the right frame of mind. But we will continue to use that tool if we have to make sure our kids are safe. And like I said before, we're not your children's babysitter. Right. We don't want to be that. We also don't want to be, we also don't want to be your children's arrester. Right. That's not a word, but I'm going to use it. You're going to use it. And we certainly don't want to be part of an investigation that as a result of a kid being killed when they could have been home.
One of the things that was done in the past, and we did that, and some people say we killed Black Expo, but I know you remember when we had 5,000 or 6,000 kids that walked around the Hyatt Regency, the Steak and Shake, and in front of the mall. But one of the things we did, we held a press conference, and community leaders asked parents not to allow their kids to come down to Expo without them coming with them or some adult supervisor. And we had enough community leaders, and they responded in a very positive way. Yeah. They didn't bring them down there. We may have had a 500 or 600 kids that night. Normally we're dealing with 5,000 or 6,000. So one of the things that maybe we can consider is more kind of public messaging to remind parents. Like myself, you know,
right.
I have 2 teenagers, but we set curfews for our kids, so we don't need the city or anybody else to do, but a lot of parents don't. And that's why I felt like community leaders could be helpful in reminding parents that a 12-year-old shouldn't be downtown at 11:30.
Well, I agree with that. And, you know, as a result of me working with the courts and saying, you know, IMPD is going to enforce the curfew again, are you on board with it? And they said yes.
Oh, good.
Was conversations that we're having with the community. You were part of a meeting we had last week, but we've had other ones. And there's already something in the works through one group that does exactly what you're saying. Right. And and I don't want to steal their thunder, I'll let them announce it, but is know the code, right? What's the code? And the code is you set boundaries for your kids, and then reminders. They're going to get on social media at a certain time and go, the street lights are on. Parents, now's a good time to call your kids and find out where they are. And even if a couple people do that and it prevents something from happening, then they've been successful. So you're right. Messaging, reminding people, and not pointing the finger at parents and making them feel like villains, but just saying, hey, everybody's busy. And, it may remind me to call my kids and find out where they're at. I track my kids, though.
You
this
do.
Thing right here, I know where they are all the time. You can't escape me. I'm so glad my parents didn't have that. I don't think they wanted to know.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of trouble.
a lot of trouble. So, I agree with that. And one thing I do want to mention about Circle Center Mall, it's under new ownership as of last week.
Really?
It's gonna be redeveloped over the next however many years. But the Hendricks Group, I think, has purchased them. They're the people that developed Bottle Works and Iron Works, I think, and they're out of Wisconsin. But what I've been told is that they have a new policy that doesn't allow people in that mall that are under the age of 18 without a parent.
We tried to get them to do that years ago. We tried.
I think, that obviously it's a private business, and the private business can, implement their own rules. So it's my understanding, though, that for your listeners otherwise, that I don't think you're allowed to be in that mall under the age of 18 without a parent or guardian or somebody watching you. Okay,
that's good. That is a good policy, because we felt like that could have helped back in the early 2000s when we were dealing with this. If we had some kind of policy to put more responsibility on parents. Parents.
I would like for them to I'm going to have a conversation with them about letting people know what their rules are in advance of the summer, so that people know what the rules are.
I'm trying to, one other thing. So what is your hope for this year? I know we're behind in homicides and murders where we were last year. So we seem to be tracking in the right direction.
Every single crime category is down by double digits. Good. With the exception of auto theft, and that's been a problem for the last couple years. Being driven mostly by the Honda and Kia thefts, which is that whole Honda Kia boys that started up in Milwaukee, a social media trend, that there's certain years of cars that are made by Kia and Hyundai that are easy to steal. And so that continues to be a problem for us. So we're going to keep working our plan. We'll make tweaks, and we consistently make tweaks and adjustment to our plan and move out resources based on emerging trends or issues. And so my hope is that we keep moving in that direction. We've had 2 years of criminal homicide declines, non-fatal shooting declines. We're below 2021 numbers in non-fatal shootings now, closing in on getting below 2020 numbers. A lot of work to do. Still too many of those incidents, and we know that a difference between a non-fatal shooting and a homicide is bullet placement and access to medical care. So I want to keep driving those numbers down. I want to continue to increase our partnerships with the community to deal with issues together. And then I want to see more outward support of our officers for the work that they do, because that they need to feel that they're appreciated. And that's a big retention and recruitment tool. And one of the biggest issues we hear is that they don't feel supported by sometimes by the administration, which is me, and the mayor's office and the council, sometimes by the community, and sometimes by other parts of the criminal justice system. So I would love for them to feel that love from the community and others.
Is this an issue nationally? Because I think police numbers are down nationally. So how do departments, get those numbers back up? Is that the challenge?
It is a challenge. We tried advertising. We tried signing bonuses. We've raised the starting pay for our officers. Our officers are going to be soon engaged in labor contract negotiations with the city. So the incumbent officers hopefully will see some increase in that. But it's not all money. It's how do they feel when they come to work? How are our facilities? How's our equipment? How is our training? Do we allow them to have access to outside training? Do we give them opportunities? How do we make their families feel? Are we providing support for young mothers that want to be the police? All those things are important, and those are some of the things we have to focus on. Agencies are doing it different. Jeffersonville, you're from down that way, aren't you?
Yes, my hometown.
Yeah, I'm hearing that they're going to a 32-hour work week for their police.
Really?
Which is, I don't know how they're going to manage that. I don't know how they have
really,
cops,
really.
That's how dramatic things are changing to try to encourage and to keep officers on police departments. And we're a large city. It's harder for us. I mean, as struggling as we are, LAPD is under 9,000 cops, and they should have around 11 or 12,000.
Wow.
So it's not just Indianapolis. It's a nationwide problem. It started before 2020, but certainly the 2020, 21, and what we've seen over the last few years have contributed and made it worse.
Yeah, but I would agree with that. I didn't know they were going to do that in Jeffersonville. So,
I just heard that. Now maybe I hope my information isn't wrong. But
we don't have that many police in Jeffersonville.
four 8-hour days.
Really?
Yeah, and they got a pay raise, I heard. So.
Well, the city is growing.
Yeah, there's some huge manufacturing or warehouse facilities going in there.
Yeah. There's probably about 20,000 more people, 25,000 more than when I grew up there. So it's growing and expanding.
Oh, good for them.
Yes.
So, but I heard that. So that's just, that just shows you this. The only other place I've seen them go to that kind of work week is in like Boulder, Colorado, where
really?
they made a dramatic change in the shifts of their officers. But we just don't have enough to do that. We're 400 square miles in the city. There's a lot of area but we've never had enough cops in the city.
Right, that's true.
When we were IPD, we probably had enough to cover just the IPD section. I would argue that the sheriff's office, when they had the outside 465, didn't have enough officers. And if you went to somebody that worked in the sheriff's department in the 90s or early 2000s, I think they'd tell you the same, that they spent their entire shift driving back and forth up the county, from north side of the county to the south side of the county, and not really doing proactive policing because they couldn't. So I don't think we've ever had enough police officers in this county to deal with the issues, and we're at a critical point right now. So join IMPD.indy.gov.
Get that in there. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chief, for joining me today on this podcast and having a conversation. I want to say that I think the work that we did in Butler, Tarkington, and Crown Hill, to me, that's the model we need to replicate across the city. Get residents involved at that kind of level. They really got involved.
I've never seen that kind of engagement from one particular neighborhood like I saw in Butler, Tarkington, North and South Butler, Tarkington, not just one side.
That's true. That's true, though.
It was a really, truly community-driven community effort, and I'm proud to have been part of that.
Yeah. Thank you. This is Reverend Charles Harrison, and thank you so much for joining me on Real Talk. I hope that you will join me again next week. I try to bring all the real issues that affect our community here in Indianapolis and across the country. Be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast and share it on Facebook and Twitter. This is Reverend Charles Harrison, and I pray that you have a blessed day.
This is Real Talk with Reverend Charles Harrison.
Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast.
And be sure to check out other great podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Online now at allindianapodcast.com.